Good evening, everybody. My name's Patty Beck, Patty B, and I live in Carrollton, Mississippi. I'm a Zone 8 gardener, and today is Tuesday afternoon. I just got off work. I came home and realized that we didn't have any electricity. A car in town had hit a light pole or something, so the whole little town is without electricity at this time. So I thought, what a beautiful way to spend the evening. Nothing could be nicer than just walking through the yard, walking through the garden, and picking some flowers to make a impromptu bouquet. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna travel through the yard and go to the little garden spots and I'm gonna try to get about 30 stems and challenge myself to make a nice little whimsical summer bouquet. So we'll start this right now. We're here at the first garden bed where I'm gonna gather some flowers. This bed we made about 3 years ago, I think. Planting different things in this bed, and it's coming along. It's more of like a cottage style garden bed, and it's really just kind of willy-nilly. It's just whatever I like, I put in here. I like a lot of color. I think color is beautiful. But I want first to get some of this beautiful salvia. Believe it or not, I grew this from seed and it came back. I did what's called the winter sowing method. I'll tell you about it in a later video, but to save money on your plants, that is the way to go. But anyway, I'm gonna clip some of this. And when you clip your stems, always remove the leaves that are at the bottom. Any leaves that are going to be below the water in the vase, you need to take those off because those will make your water murky and yucky, and your vase of flowers won't last as long. So I'm just going to put it in my bucket. I'm going to get about, 3 stems of this, and I have a lot of it, so I don't have to be really stingy with it. And where I cut, it'll grow back. Like it'll grow thicker and bushier right there. So I'm really doing it a favor by cutting it. Okay, so I have 3 stems of that, and those are pretty big stems. Now I'm gonna get some of this echinacea, or it's also called coneflower. And look at this beautiful color. It's so pretty, I think. And guess what? I grew this using the winter sowing method also. So neat. Now I'll tell you, when using that method, these did not bloom the first year. I got blooms last year, and then they're blooming wonderfully this year. So don't be sad if they don't bloom the first year, but they're just getting their roots in the ground and just growing and getting themselves established to flower the following years. But they're reliable, and most of the time deer don't like them. So that's a plus for me because we have deer all over this yard. And I'm even going to gather some of the echinacea after the petals have fallen off, just because I like that texture right there. I think that's pretty, that seed head. I think that's pretty and could add some interest to the bouquet. So let me see if I have a couple more of these that look decent. Yeah, here's another color over here. I think some bugs have been getting to these, but that's okay. I'll still enjoy them, bugs and all. I'm not a perfectionist. Ooh, look at here. While I'm in this area, I'll get some of these. These are daisies. I grew these using the winter sowing method also. I get so excited about that because, I mean, it's just pennies for seeds. You put them in the bucket for your winter sowing, let them grow through the winter, plant them out in the spring, and then you'll have these beautiful flowers for years and years to come. Now, I did plant this little patch right here a couple of years ago. So the first year they didn't bloom. The second year, I mean, look at them, they're gorgeous. What else can you say? Beautiful. Taking all the leaves that would be under the water. I'm taking those off. And I'm getting a pretty good length on the stem too. I'm cutting it pretty far down. And then I can trim them as necessary, as I need to, when I get them next to the, in the vase. All right, now let's move on to the next section and see what we can find. We stopped right here at this plant, this perennial. It's called Baptisia, or false indigo, I think is another name for it. But I love this blue-green foliage. It's so pretty. And look, this dies down every year to like below the ground. You think, oh my gosh, didn't I have something there? And in the wintertime, there's absolutely nothing. But in the springtime, it comes back. And this is, I think, the second year that I've had it come back. And it's just beautiful, and it's one of the first things to bloom. It has beautiful blue blooms in the early spring, so definitely something that you might want to think about getting in your garden. So I'm going to get some of this. I think this will be enough. We stopped at this little pot right here because I wanted to grab some of this yarrow. And guess how I got it? Winter sowing. You better believe it. I did the winter sowing method, had little seedlings about this tall, and I put them in this pot last year. And they were in a different part of the yard, and I moved the pots over because this is a new bed. This top layer is a new garden bed this year. If you see the cardboard, that's why, because I like to do my garden beds by, I don't take the grass out or the sod out. I just put cardboard down to kind of smother the grass, and eventually the cardboard will disintegrate into the ground, and then I put, you know, wood chips on top of the cardboard to cover it up. And it really does make your soil better, because before, this was terrible. I mean, we have terrible clay soil here in this part of Mississippi where I live. I mean, you can barely even get your shovel in the ground. But after doing this for several years with the cardboard and the mulch on top, it is so much easier to dig to plant these flowers. Anyway, so this is the yarrow, and I grew it from winter sowing with seeds that cost, you know, just pennies, and put them in these pots. Moved the pots over here this year so they get more sun. They really like a lot of sun, and they're doing pretty good, I think. So I'm gonna get this one also, and then I'm gonna go over to this other pot where I have some more. It's a different color. It's kind of drooping over, so I'm gonna get this one. I'm taking those lower leaves off, and I'm gonna get this one. And that plant will continue to grow and give me more blooms. And so now I'll be able to use this for part of my bouquet. Every good bouquet needs something that has a lovely floral scent, or minty scent in this case, because right now I'm going to gather, this is called mountain mint, and I put this in this little garden bed in, it was probably April of 2021. And when you smell this, oh my gosh, it smells so wonderful, and it's so pretty the way that that the leaves are sort of like an icy blue-green color, almost white. And the pollinators love it. They're all over it. But you know who doesn't like it? The deer do not bother this. Knock on wood. They have not bothered it in this area, so I really love it. So I'm going to gather some of this for my arrangement. Mountain mint. It's a winner in my book. In my flower arrangements, I like to have a little variation in color of the foliage that I'm using. So today I'm going to cut some of this Dusty Miller and add it. And you know what? I did not realize until last year that Dusty Miller is a perennial. It comes back in my Zone 8 garden anyway. I've always used it in my container planting, in my pots, and would just pull it out and not realizing that I could have been saving it and having it year to year. So this Dusty Miller I put in here last year, and it lasted through the winter, and it came back, and it has grown, and it's just as pretty as it can be. And who knew that Dusty Miller would even flower? But look at there. It has the pretty flowers on it. So I'm gonna take this also. Yay us. Woo! Right behind you, Jeb, are the dahlias that I want to get. I bought some dahlia tubers. They look like little sweet potato clumps. I didn't know what a dahlia tuber was. Anyway, so I bought it and I put them in the ground different places, and the first year I did not have hardly any flowers at all. Barely even had any green growth. And I said, well, dahlias are just not for me in this area. Well, I put this dahlia in here, forgot all about it, and I wish you would look at it now. Is that not beautiful? I need to deadhead these. And this thing will, I think, just churn out beautiful flowers all year. Some people will have dahlias bloom all the way through into the fall until, you know, a pretty severe frost. So we're gonna give it a go. And this right here is larkspur. I just threw some seeds in here, forgot all about them, and look at there. As pretty as you please. Wait, I'll take it too. The dahlias will be my focal flowers. This is an oak leaf hydrangea. I have no idea about what specific variety it is because it was here when we bought our house in 1998. But it's beautiful, and I don't do anything to it. It is one of the first things to bloom in the spring. The pollinators love it. Bees are always all over this, and it's beautiful. It's a shame that more people can't see it, but it's on the side of the house where really nobody ever walks to. But I'm going to get a few of these because I think that they're just beautiful. And in the fall, these leaves turn a beautiful kind of red, deep red color. So yeah, I'll take maybe I think this will be enough. And the last flowers that I think I'm gonna harvest today are these zinnias. I did this with the winter sowing method. I think it was March the 1st. And I put them in a little milk jug and set them outside, and the seedlings grew up to be about this big. And at that point in time, I created this little zinnia bed right here. And I put the little seedlings in this zinnia bed, and lo and behold, they grew. I'm so happy with them. And zinnias are flowers. The pollinators love them. They're so easy. You don't do anything to them. You could just put seeds in here and they would grow. I mean, you can do it right now. Today's June the 11th. You put seeds in the ground right now, and you'll have blooms for the rest of the summer. When they begin blooming, the rest of the summer till the first frost. They're very forgiving. They love a lot of sun. The pollinators love them. And I'll always have zinnias in my garden. Just cut them, pretty long cuts. Take all the foliage off of the stem that's going to be in the water. And wherever you cut a zinnia, like this right here, wherever you cut a zinnia, two new branches will grow off of where that cut was. So you'll have more flowers than what you started with. So that's a positive in my book. Okay, everybody, this is the finished product. The container that I used is a beautiful green vase with a handle. got this from Susan. She's a friend of mine, and it had been her mother's, and I got it from Susan. I think it's beautiful. And these are the flowers. And seriously, y'all, that did not take me any time at all. And these are some beautiful hydrangeas that my coworker gave me today. She went on her lunch break, and when she came back, she had these hydrangeas for me. Aren't they beautiful? It's just a gorgeous display. Thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.